Hi, class. This is Dr. St. Clair. This week we'll be delving deeper into Chapter 14, Engaging Consumers and Communicating Customer Value. Obviously, this week we'll talk about that in our discussion board topic as well. So let's just jump right in. Learning objectives. We'll define the four promotional mixes. So we talk a lot about the four P's, and so we'll delve deeper into that this week, which is super important and really, which for me is what marketing is about. And it's hard to cover this. Again, a lot of ground to cover each week, especially in an 8-week course. But I think we've been doing a really good job, and you folks have done an outstanding job with your posts so far. So let's keep going. We'll discuss the changing communications landscape, and they continue to evolve. As you're aware, they've significantly changed. And there's fundamentals that never change, but or slightly change, but obviously the platforms and mediums do change, and modalities. And we'll outline the communication process and the steps in developing effective marketing communication. 14.4 will explain the methods for setting the promotion budget and those factors that affect that promotional mix. So let's jump in here to 14.1. So we've all heard this reimagine. You think about Capital One, what's in your wallet? We've all heard that advertising. So it's a really effective campaign. It's been long running, very iconic at this point. And I think it's been really a sort of a leveraging this. If it's not in your wallet, it should be. It really has been an impactful work for them. If you think about, for example, Burger King, it's the world's second largest food hamburger chain behind McDonald's. Its communications unite around that long-held positioning themes, that distinctiveness, around Burger King. It really sets it apart from the competitors. So think about that as we go through this journey. So learning objective 1. We're going to define that promotional mix that we talked about, the 4 Ps. So if we think about, in summary, the learning objective 1, a company's total promotion mix, or it's also called marketing communication mix, consists of specific blend of advertising, personal selling, then that sales promotion, and we'll go over these, so don't worry about that. Public relations and direct and digital marketing tools. Now, people struggle, typically organizations struggle with marketing in general. Some do it really well, but overall, people do pieces of this well. They'll do personal selling well, or they'll do a couple of these of the 4 Ps well. But typically doing all 4 well, it's very, very difficult for organizations to do. Typically, and there's a lot of reasons, but primarily it comes down to, well, it's quite challenging. A lot of it's hard to measure, and it takes a lot of commitment. The promotional mix So if we think about the promotional mix, it's also called the marketing communication mix. It consists of the specific blend of advertising, public relations, personal selling, sales promotion, and direct marketing tools that a company uses to engage consumers. Typically, they want to be persuasive in their communication, to communicate value and build customer relationships. Continuing with this promotional mix, think about advertising. So this really refers to any paid form of non-personal presentation or promotion of ideas, goods, or services by an identified sponsor. Advertising includes broadcast, print, online, mobile, outdoor, and other forms. You folks are all aware of this, but I want to cover it because it's an important part of the promotional mix. So think about, what sales promotions have you seen in the last 2 months? Books, fast food, demonstrations in stores. I just want you to think about those. So when we think about sales promotion, sort of this short-term incentive to encourage an action, right? A purchase or a sale of a product or service. What do those look like? Discounts, coupons, displays, demonstrations, and events. And it can be a combination of a few of these, all of these, one of these, etc. Really depends on what you're selling, the context in which you're selling, and what your needs are at the time. And they can change in duration, amounts, etc. They can also be different in the geography or for product mix, etc. So now we're on 4 of 5. So this is personal selling. This is something near and dear to my heart. This is really what I did my dissertation in. Though I was in the marketing space, obviously, and spent years, almost 5 years, dissertation-wise, in the marketing space. I did my dissertation in B2B sales. So we think about personal selling. That's that personal interaction. Now, it can be in different spaces, but today it's really, when I think of it, it's more B2B and long-term complex selling. It doesn't have to be, of course, but we're seeing more and more of it move towards that as technology can really take the place of sort of anything that's codifiable. So it's all about building those long-term relationships, engaging with the customer. So sales presentations, trade shows, incentive programs, etc. And then finally, you've got public relations. And this really involves building good relations with the company's various publics by obtaining favorable publicity, right? So you really want to build this great corporate image, how people see you. You want to have this very favorable face to the public. So you think about press releases and news updates, product design. Those types of things can really have a impact on how the public sees you, right? Sponsorships. And that's why people do a lot of those things is they want to be part of the community and they want to be viewed in the community. And that's part of the promotional mix. And again, it depends on what you do and how you do it and where you do it. But those all have to be thought of when you're looking at the 4Ps. Web pages. So this must be totally coordinated, and it's extremely difficult to be good at everything, but it's really important to do your best to coordinate it and not to skimp on any portion of it. But again, some of it can be much more impactful in terms of the ROI. Some of it's much harder to quantify. And so it's easier to sort of focus on stuff that you can sort of really measure. And I know it's important to measure, but there are things that are much more qualitative in nature. Some of it could be the public relations. Some of that's harder to measure, but extremely important. But you can measure some of it. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. So let's jump into learning objective 2. And again, I'm going to try to go through this as quick as possible. And you guys can always pause this or move forward or stop listening to me altogether. That's really up to you. Again, I'll do the best I can to cover the ground. And if you have any questions, you can always send me whatever questions you have offline. Think about, what is there a need for integrated marketing communication? Why is there a need? Excuse me. So I want you to think about the changing communication landscape and why the integrated marketing is so important. So when we think about learning objective as we go through these following or subsequent slides, we think about this explosive development in communication technology. Think about the shift or the significant changes in marketer and communication strategies, and have had a dramatic impact on communications, right? Advertisers are now adding a broad selection of more specialized, more highly targeted media content, including online, mobile, and social media, to reach smaller customer segments with much more personalized, interactive messages. Think about how they're contacting you, what you see online today. They know what you're buying, when you're buying it, when you need it, right? It pops up right before, hey, you probably need these, whether it's laundry detergent or shoes or whatever. Very targeted, very prescriptive, sort of proactive in nature. So companies are starting to really use these promotional mixes to reach diverse markets. And really target. So this integrated marketing, these strategies being leveraged to have robust and impactful marketing campaigns. It's very cool to watch. So let's talk a little bit about what they look like. Direct and digital marketing includes direct mail, right? So we got this digital, let me back up a bit. Digital technology has transformed how companies and customers communicate, right? So you have all these communication tools and platforms, smartphones, brand websites, social media. You guys are all familiar with these, but we have all of these tools now where a few years ago, none of these existed. So you could really highly target, create, and leverage algorithms and other data mining tools to really understand your customers' needs. There's still, believe it or not, there's some direct mail that's growing. Uh, Catalogs, online and hard copy, are traditional. Um, and then obviously social media and this whole mobile marketing. So when we think about the new marketing communication model, several major factors are changing the face of today's marketing communication. So if we think about this in this digital wireless age, consumers are better informed, right? We know they are, and they're more they have more communications empowered, or they are. Rather than relying on marketer supplied information, they can use the internet. They can use social media. They can use other technologies to find information on their own. So this digital age has brought about remarkable changes in the way in which companies and customers communicate with each other. So if we think about, as we talked about, we have these smartphones, we have tablets, we have satellite and cable television systems, like brand websites, email, blogs, social media, and online communications. All of this to leverage. So we think about consumers continually changing. So market strategies are continually changing. We continually see a change in digital technology. So many large advertisers, which we'll discuss here, like Unilever, right? Multi-billion-dollar company. They spend as much as 45% of its global budget on digital media. This is huge when you think about how large of a budget they have, and what that looks like. But they understand the importance of really touching that customer on all these channels. So really cool to see, and really, I guess, that's a great example of how important it is with this digital first approach. So moving on to 3 of 5. So if we think about content marketing, and these lines are rapidly blurring between traditional advertising and new digital content, many marketers view themselves more broadly as the content marketing managers who create, inspire, and now more broadly view content marketers really view themselves as sort of creators of curating this information, right? And that consumers and others consume. And so that's really changed in how that looks. So you think about blogs and etc. So you continue to see this in the next figure 14.1. Why don't we go there now? So if we think about, take some time and look at this. This talks about the 4 Ps. Well, the integrated marketing, excuse me. The company carefully integrates as much communication channels to deliver this consistent, compelling message about the organization and its brand. So it really, So if you think about IMC, it really calls for recognizing all touch points where the customer may encounter content about the company and its brands. So each contact will with the brand will deliver a message, whether good, bad, or indifferent. The company's goal should always be to deliver consistent and positive message at each contact. So when we think about this IMC, this integrated communication, marketing communication, ties together all the company's messages. So if you think about it, for example, its television and print ads have the same brand messages as its email and personal selling communications. And its PR materials are consistent with website, online, social media, and mobile marketing content. So just think about, as it says in this middle here, consistent, clear, and compelling company and brand messages. So everything that's going out to that customer or to the customers is very consistent. So here we have the new integrated, coordinating the company's many communication channels, right? Clear, consistent. This shift towards richer mix of media and brand content approaches or poses a problem for marketers, right? If you think about it, consumers are bombarded, by brand content from a broad range of sources. So it's very important that somehow you distinguish between content sources the way marketers do in the consumer's mind. So you really have to figure out how not to come up with conflicting messages, but to stay on point and to be very consistent across all channels. You want to have that deep personal customer engagement. And the only way to do that is to really go above and beyond, right? Like this Land Rover above and beyond marketing campaign integrates the clout and reach of traditional media with leveraging the power of digital and social media. So how has the landscape of marketing communications changed? So we talked a little bit about that earlier. So let's sort of jump in. Can you name the 9 elements of the communication process? Why do marketers need to understand these elements? So let's look at them. So real quick, the communication process involves these 9 elements. 2 major parties, right? Sender, receiver, 2 communication tools, message, media. 4 communication functions, encoding, decoding, response, and feedback. And then there's noise. To communicate effectively, marketers must understand these elements, combine to communicate value to target customers. So let's look at this. So sort of follow me on this. The sender is the party sending the message to another party. Encoding is the process of putting thought into symbolic form. The message is the set of symbols the sender transmit. Media refers to the communication channels through which the message moves from sender to receiver. Decoding is the process by which the receiver assigns meaning to the symbols. The receiver is the party receiving the message sent by another party. Response is the reaction of the receiver after being exposed to the message. Feedback is the part of the receiver's response communicated back to the sender. Noise is that unplanned static or distortion during the communication process, which typically results in the receiver getting a different message than the one the sender sent. So this is pretty cool to look at. So there's 10 steps here. Steps in developing effective marketing communications. So let's examine these steps. Identify the target audience. Determine the communication objectives. Design the message. And we'll cover all these. Choose the media to send the message. Select message source and collect feedback. So moving the customers through this journey, financial services firm Greenlight built awareness among potential customers with the creative bull ad. Every time a parent hears about Greenlight, they love it. So again, they really built this awareness program. So let's talk about this. So you've got to start with a really clear target audience in mind. What is that target? If you don't know that, it's really difficult to build anything. So you have to clearly define the audience. So it may be current users or potential buyers, those who make the buying decision or those who influence. What will be said? How will it be said? When will it be said? So the target audience will heavily affect the communicator's decision on the questions shown on what, how, when, where, and who, right? Where will it be said and who will say it? So think about this emotional appeal. The ASPCA's ad used emotional appeal to tug at people's heartstrings when they encouraged them to contribute to animal welfare. And I think we've all seen this or a version of it, right? And this really is powerful. So marketing communications really aim to build customer brand relationships and guide customers through the 5 A's of the customer journey. So you've got awareness, appeal, ask, act, and advocacy. So if we think about, I know about the product, right? Awareness. Appeal, I like the product. Ask, I want to know more and be engaged with the brand. Act, I'm buying and relating to the product. And advocacy, I'm telling others about the product. The goal is to create experience that will keep customers on the path of the 5 A's. Rational appeal. What to say. Show that the product will produce the desired benefits. So examples are product quality, economy, value, or performance. Thus, an ad for Aleve makes this a matter-of-fact claim. More pills doesn't mean more pain. Aleve has the strength to keep back, body, and arthritis pain away all day with fewer pills than Tylenol. Emotional appeal. So we'll use emotional appeal ranging from love, joy, and humor to fear and guilt. Advocates of emotional messages claim they attract more attention and create more belief in the sponsor and the brand. And then there's moral appeal, right? And often are used to urge people to support social causes such as cleaner environment or aid to the disadvantaged. When putting a message together in the marketing communicator must decide what to say, that content, how to say it, structure and format. So when we think about that design, the marketer has to figure out an appeal to the theme that will produce the desired response. There are three types of appeals: rational, emotional, and moral. We talked about those in previous slide. And then think about message structure. Marketers must also decide how to handle three message structure issues. The first is whether to draw a conclusion or leave it to the audience. Research suggests, in many cases, rather than drawing a conclusion, the advertiser is better off asking questions and letting buyers come to their own conclusions. Personal communication channels are effective because they allow for personal addressing and feedback. So when we think about choosing communication channels, some personal communication channels are controlled directly by the company. So if we think about what's a personal communication channel, well, think about salespeople contact business buyers, right? But other personal communications about the product may reach buyers through channels not directly controlled by the company. These channels might be independent experts, consumer advocates, bloggers, and others making statements to buyers. There might be neighbors, friends, family, associates, or other consumers talking to the target buyers in person or via social media or other interactive media channels. Word of mouth influence. So there's a lot of different channels that might be utilized. So just something to think about as we go through this. Red Bull, for example, more than 4,000 student marketers globally connect directly with Red Bull fans to generate awareness, excitement, unforgettable brand experience. That's great utilization. Personal influence carries great weight, especially for products that are expensive, risky, or highly visible. So companies can take steps to put personal communication channels to work for them. So they create what everyone knows as, well, typically we know these as opinion leaders for their brands. People whose opinions are sought by others, right? By supplying influencers, and that's huge on YouTube and other platforms. And as with the previous slide, we talk about Red Bull has these buzz marketing campaigns. The Wings team. They have a group of 28 brand ambassadors who connect with Red Bull fans and events, and through stacks of users generate digital content showing their extreme and active lifestyles. Wings are the face of the brand. And of course, they're always in this fun-loving, dynamic way, right? So independent experts, consumer advocates, bloggers, neighbors, friends, family members, associates. And we talked a little bit about that buzz marketing. Choosing channel and media, right? So you can go major media, include print media, newspaper, magazine, direct mail. And again, it really depends on what you're doing, but you may want to list all of these. Some of it has to do with your business, markets, etc., budgets. So there's a lot of things that'll play into where you're going to spend your time and resources. Atmospheres are designed environments that create or reinforce the buyer's leaning towards buying a product. So, like lawyers, banks are designed to communicate confidence and other qualities that might be valued by their clients. Events are staged occurrences that communicate messages to target audience. Messages delivered by highly credible sources are more persuasive. So again, we're thinking about selecting different media sources, and you may need to select more than one or multiple ones, depending on the platform, depending on the product, depending on the age of the product, depending on all kinds of different factors. Many food companies promote doctors, dentists, and other health and care providers to motivate these professionals to recommend specific food products to their patients. And marketers hire, obviously, celebrities, athletes, actors, etc. Obviously depends, as I mentioned in the previous slides, on your target audience. You have to know and understand your target audience in order to really understand who you need to help you reach them. Who's going to deliver that message? Who is best to deliver that message? Is it a celebrity? Is it an athlete? Is it an entertainer? Is it all of those things? Collecting feedback. After sending the message, the communicator must research, right? We need to understand if the target audience and what we're doing is effective. We need to understand and measure, are we affecting change? Are we affecting behavior? Are we impacting behavior? And how so? Are the campaigns we've created impactful, and are we getting a return on investment, right? Let's move on to 4. We've got a few more slides, about 10 more. So we're almost there. Appreciate your patience with me. Pretty cool stuff here. Again, 4 P's, can't get any more powerful than that in marketing. So think about, I want you to name and describe the 2 basic promotion mix strategies. If you can't, well, we'll learn about them. In which strategy is advertising more important? So if we think about in learning objective 4, if we summarize it, and which we'll talk about, okay? The company must determine how much to spend for promotion. The most popular approaches are to spend what the company can afford, use a percentage of sales, right? That's typically what happens. Base promotion on competitors' spending, or base it on the analysis and costing of the communication objectives and tasks. The company has to divide the promotion budget among the major tools to create the promotion mix. Companies can pursue a push or pull promotional strategy or a combination of the two. The best specific blend of promotion tools depends on the type of product market. The buyer's readiness stage and the PLC stage. People at all levels of the organization must be aware of the many legal and ethical issues surrounding marketing communications. Companies must work hard and proactively at communicating openly, honestly, and agreeably with their customers and resellers. So we'll talk about this. So let's jump right in. One of the hardest marketing decisions facing a company is how much to spend on the promotion. This happens a lot. Typically, it's like, they get aggressive and say, yeah, we're going to spend this. And then it becomes, well, we're not going to spend this. Or we've been successful, let's pull it back. We've seen the sales, and then it gets less and less. And I see that a lot. Here we look at the 4 common methods used to set the total budget. For advertising, the affordable method, the percentage of sales method, the competitive parity method, and the objective and task method. Some companies use the affordable method. Small business often use this method, right? And I get it, right? It's really, you have the budget. Reasoning that a company cannot spend more on advertising than it has. They start with the total revenues, deduct operating expenses and capital outlays, and then devote some portion of that remaining funds on advertising. The percentage of sales method is simply to use and helps management think about the relationship between promotion, spending, selling price, and profit per unit. So think about setting the promotion budget. We talked a lot about Amazon, so this is appropriate. The world's largest advertiser spends $11.5 billion a year in its brand and advertising and full breadth of product and service. But is that too little? Just right or too much? You'd think 11.5 billion is a ton, but for a company of that size, you have to ask yourself, and for what they do, maybe it's too little. Setting the promotional budget. Companies using the competitive parity method monitor competitors' advertising or get industry promotion spending estimates from publications or different trade associations, and then set their budgets based on their basically the industry average, right? So the most logical budget setting method is the objective and task method, which entails defining specific promotion objectives, determining the tasks needed to achieve these objectives, and estimating the cost of performing these tasks. So we typically use, for our organization, we use percentage of sales, but we've also done new products. We base it off, hey, what can we afford, percentage of sales, and then we also look at what are we trying to do. And so the budget will typically be much higher for a new product. And we'll base it off of, okay, what do we think it'll take? A couple years. So we'll look at, obviously, reviewing it every 6 to 12 months and base that objective there. Again, probably undervalue marketing, but our small company tends to do that. I'm trying to change that. So again, the competitive match competitors' outlays and the objective and task. Talked a little bit about that as well. So shaping the overall promotional mix, and we'll pretty much close out here. A TV's ad can now be extended through online and social media. So its reach is pretty large, right? It used to just be obviously on the TV, and now it gets online, social media, etc. Depending on really if it's pretty exciting ad too, right? You ends up on all kinds of different platforms. A recent survey revealed that 20% of viewers tune into Super Bowl ads or Super Bowl only to watch these ads, right? I do. I watch a little bit of the game. Depends on who's playing, right? 70% of them viewed commercials as entertainment. So that's crazy. 72% of people rewatched at least some commercials. My wife does it all the time, so it's really interesting to see. So YouTube launched a dedicated site, AdBlitz, that collected all Super Bowl ads and categories, most comedic, dramatic, action-packed, and inspirational. I had no idea. So that's really cool that they had done that. So if you think the concept of this integrated marketing mix, the IMC, so suggests that company must blend the promotional tools carefully into a coordinated promotion mix. So when we think about more than 96 million people watched the most recent Super Bowl, and 42% of football watched Super Bowl ads on YouTube before, during, and after the game. That's quite a reach. Obviously, they're very expensive, so they're not for example, my company could never afford one, but and it probably isn't the right place for my type of ad. But the point is to think about what kind of reach you can get out of traditional, what we consider traditional media. And obviously, there's other things to consider. So the nature of each promotional mix is really what I'm getting at. So obviously, television, as we talked about, can reach a huge audience. More than 98 million Americans watched the most recent Super Bowl. We think about advertising on these different, and it's depending on the type too. It's fairly low cost. It has great reach, and you can repeat messages many times. But if you've got a complex product that doesn't make sense in certain areas, um, personal selling is the way that you need to go to market. In addition to doing other things, I think there's always room for um, other modalities. But personal selling is typically, especially in B2B, etc., is the most effective method at certain stages of the buying process. So it really involves this personal interaction between two or more people. And it's really about understanding those latent needs, uncovering those, and driving the solutions, right? Creating that co-creating that value. It's very expensive, though. It's the most expensive part of the promotion mix, right? Personal selling is I think it's up to 3 times more expensive than anything else. Um, but if you have a complex, long cycle product, you're going to need to do personal selling. There's typically no way around it. Next, we'll have sales promotion, right? And you see grocery stores and different retailers do this in different ways, right? But they want to boost different products. They'll work with different manufacturers if sales are sagging, or if they're trying to get lost leaders, they're trying to get people in the doors. Something typically they're short lived, but they're trying to jumpstart things, right? And you'll see discounts that on you'll never see discount. Excuse me, on certain things. So very interesting. And then public relations. And these are more real and believable to readers than ads do. PRs, they reach prospects who avoid salespeople, and advertising gets to buyers as news and events rather than sales directed communications, right? The well thought out public relations campaigns with other promotion mix elements. These can be very effective and economical. And then there's this direct and digital marketing. And we're all familiar with that. And this is more targeted. It's usually directed to specific customer communities. Direct marketing is immediate and personalized, especially using the digital. It can be prepared quickly, even in real time, especially today with the AI and other technologies, and tailored, really tailored, real time tailored to appeal to specific consumer or brand groups. It's typically can be interactive. It allows for a dialogue between the marketing team and the consumer, and the messages can be altered depending on the consumer responses. And so this direct and digital marketing are well suited to be the sort of highly targeted efforts, creating high and meaningful customer engagement, and can build one-on-one relationship. So it's wonderful. And typically it's a fairly low cost. I mean, it can be expensive, don't get me wrong. But once you have it built up, it can be fairly low cost compared to some others. So let's take a look at this. So marketers can choose from two basic promotion mixes: push promotion or pull promotion. So figure really contrast these two strategies. The emphasis given to the specific promotion tools differ for push and pull. So a push strategy, as you can see here, involves pushing the product through marketing channels to final consumers. The producer directs its marketing activities, primarily personal selling and trade promotion, towards channel members to induce them to carry the product and promote it to final consumers. Using a pull strategy, the producer directs its marketing activities, primarily advertising and consumer promotion, towards final consumers to induce them to buy the product. If the pull strategy is effective, consumers will then demand the product from retailers, who will in turn demand it from the producers. Thus, under a pull strategy, a consumer demand pulls the product through the channels. Shaping the overall product mix. So if we think about integrating the product mix, starts with the customers. Always starts with the customers. Whether it's advertising, personal selling, sales promotion, public relations, or digital and direct marketing, communications at each customer touch point must deliver consistent marketing content and positioning. An integrated promotion mix ensures that communication efforts occur when, where, and how customers need them. So they work together to carry the firm's unique brand messages and selling points. Social responsible marketing communications. In shaping the promotional mix, a company must be aware that the many legal and ethical issues surrounding marketing communications. The abuses may occur, so public policy makers have developed a substantial body of laws and regulations to govern advertising, sales promotion, personal selling, and direct marketing. So let's take a look at this. Advertising, sales promotion. And I think you guys all get this, but it's good to cover them real quick. Communicate open and honestly. Avoid deceptive and false advertising. Avoid bait and switch. Conform to all federal, state, and local regulations. So I love this campaign, and if you get a chance, there's a video. Maybe I'll post it. That really talked about having all these different, really body types, and really promoting self-esteem in young girls and young women, for that matter, which I thought was amazing. Everybody didn't have to be the skinny model type, and I felt like they did a tremendous job not only promoting their brand, but really aligning it with responsible marketing and recognizing that all these women were beautiful, but they didn't see themselves as that because there was so much marketing that really pushed down the self-esteem of young women or young girls to view themselves not as these beautiful young people. Personal selling. So again, same things apply. Follow rule. Be fair. Don't offer bribes. And again, America, we understand that for the most part. Other countries, you see it all the time. In fact, it's hard to do business in some other countries. Typically not Western or first world nations, but some of them, it's difficult to get anything done. Now, I'm not going to say it doesn't happen here. There's many forms of bribery, uh, but it should always be above board, and it should be about creating the value and leveraging that, and that should be how you sell things. Never give trade secrets away, and never talk bad about anyone else. If you got to talk bad about your competitor's product rather than focusing on what's good at yours. Whenever I sell, I always say, you know what, they make a good product. It's a good organization. I might say, hey, recognize something, but I'm never going to put the other down. It just never goes over well. Put something else down. I focus on what we do better or what we can do differently to help the customer. So just think about this question. But again, you folks are doing fantastic, and we'll see you on the discussion boards.